Liam and Lucas were identical twins by birth, but that's where the symmetry ended. At 17, they wore the same Letterman jackets, shared the same tired basketball sneakers, even had the same sharp jawline that made girls blush in the hallway. But while Lucas walked with his chin high, Liam carried something different behind his eyes. A quiet that never left, a truth he never said, and in the Lancer High locker room, silence was safer than honesty. Liam knew he was gay since middle school. He didn't say it, he didn't need to. He felt it in the way his eyes lingered a second too long on Coach Jackson's stern, but fair, the kind of man who made you want to earn your place. It wasn't about a crush, it was about being seen. Not just as a player, but as a person, as someone who existed beyond the scoreboard. One night after another late practice, Liam sat at his desk while the rest of the house slept. He wrote a letter not to confess, not to plead, but to simply be real. "I'm not asking for permission," he scribbled, hands shaking. "I just need to be seen for who I am." He didn't send it. He folded it carefully and slid it into the back of his notebook, behind math homework and college prep flyers. A small act of bravery, still not brave enough. Lucas found it the next morning. Liam never knew exactly when. Maybe he was looking for his charger. Maybe he was looking for something else entirely. But by the time Liam got home from class, there was a new weight in the air. Lucas didn't say a word, but his eyes had shifted, no longer twin mirrors, but locked doors. Liam noticed but said nothing. After all, it was just a letter, just words, just truth he hadn't spoken yet. He didn't know that Lucas had already decided it was dangerous. And Liam, who had spent his entire life dodging the spotlight, was about to find out what it meant to be exposed under a glare he never asked for. If you've ever been betrayed not by strangers, but by someone who shares your blood, stay with this story. It's just getting started. Has someone ever used your truth against you? Tell us below. Your voice might be the light someone else is looking for. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heart Stories, where every scar finds its story. Coach Jackson called Liam into his office on a Monday. The kind of Monday that smelled like sweat and old tape. The kind where the gym echoed from drills and the buzz of preseason energy. Liam walked in expecting strategy talk, maybe something about drills or play shifts. But Coach didn't even look up from his clipboard at first. Just said, "We're rethinking the lineup for this season." Liam blinked. "Coach, we're going in a new direction. You'll sit out this year." His tone was flat, like a weather report. No anger, no shame, just cold. "But," Liam started, then stopped. There was no room for questions. Coach looked up once, eyes unreadable, and Liam saw it. The shift, not tactical, personal. He walked out in silence, barely aware of his own footsteps echoing down the concrete hallway. The gym lights suddenly felt too bright. The laughter of his teammates hit his ears like static. Liam walked past the locker room without turning his head. Without realizing it, he clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. That evening, Liam waited in the parking lot. Lucas was late, as usual. When he finally showed, tossing his gym bag into the trunk with the same swagger he always had, Liam stepped in front of the car door. "You told him," Liam said. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Told who what?" "Don't do that." Liam's voice didn't shake. "You told Coach. You read the letter." Lucas shrugged. "He's our coach, not your diary. I just thought he should know before things got complicated." Liam stared at his twin. For the first time in their lives, they didn't look alike. Not really. "You thought telling him would protect me?" "I thought it would protect the team," Lucas snapped, then caught himself. "I mean, I didn't want things to get weird." Liam turned away, his breath caught somewhere between rage and heartbreak. "I wasn't going to tell anyone. It wasn't about you or the team. But Coach liked you more," Lucas said. His voice was low, bitter. "Everyone said it. You think I didn't notice how he praised your footwork? How he always picked you for captain scrimmages?" Liam's heart cracked open. "So this was about jealousy?" Lucas looked down. "You made everything about you the moment you wrote that letter." Liam didn't respond. He just walked home. By Thursday, the whispers started. "They say he's gay," someone muttered in the hallway. "I heard he had a crush on Coach," another voice added, like venom through a straw. Someone slipped a sticky note into Liam's locker. Locker room peeper. At practice, Liam sat on the bleachers while the team ran drills. No one spoke to him. He wasn't benched. He was erased. At lunch, his usual table was full when he walked up. Lucas looked away. A junior guard scooted closer to block the last seat. Liam turned, tray still full, and walked to the far table near the vending machines. No one followed. He stopped going to practices, stopped checking the team's group chat. The silence grew louder, heavier, echoing through his classes and the emptiest seat next to his at dinner. His parents didn't ask. Maybe they didn't want to know. A week later, Liam sat alone under the bleachers, sketching plays he'd never run again. He felt the shape of the court in his hands, muscle memory trapped in bones that still wanted to move. He didn't cry. He just felt hollow. That's when Coach Ramirez appeared. He was tall, with silver in his beard and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much to flinch. He said nothing at first, just dropped a card beside Liam on the bench. "I heard what happened," Ramirez finally said. "At my school, we run on skill and heart. You've got both. If you still want to play, tryouts are next Tuesday." Liam stared at the card. It had a school logo he barely recognized. "I'm not looking for a project," Ramirez added. "I'm looking for someone who's had to fight to keep their love of the game alive." Then he walked off, leaving only footsteps and possibility in his wake. Liam stayed there for a long time. He turned the card over again and again in his hand. For the first time in days, he let himself breathe. This wasn't the path he planned, but maybe it was the one that was always meant to be his. The next few days moved like slow water, thick with silence. Liam didn't go back to the locker room. He avoided the gym entirely. The hallway chatter followed him anyway, clinging like damp smoke. He'd walk into a room and conversations would stop just a second too late, just long enough to sting. When he sat down in class, chairs shifted slightly away. When he raised his hand, the teacher's smile flickered, as if even that small act carried risk now. Lucas never spoke to him. At home, their parents chalked the tension up to twin stuff, a phrase that once meant inside jokes and matching sneakers, now just an umbrella big enough to cover their refusal to look closer. Liam found himself spending hours in the art room. Ms. Herrera, his design theory teacher, never asked why he stayed after class so often. She simply opened the supply closet, set a mug of tea beside his sketchbook, and left him alone. He didn't talk much, but he drew, sometimes hands, sometimes eyes, always backs, turned backs, blurred figures, people walking away. One day, as the sky outside turned a bruised gray, Ms. Herrera lingered by his desk. She picked up a torn sketch of a basketball court. Empty, the lines cracked and broken. "You miss it?" she asked gently. Liam didn't answer right away. Then, "It's the only place I ever felt in rhythm, like my body made sense." She nodded, then slid a book toward him. On the cover was a boy in a tutu, balancing on a rooftop. "People who learn to dance in a storm tend to hold their shape better than the ones who never got wet," she said. He didn't know what to say to that, but he didn't tear the page that night. That was something. The next afternoon, Liam was sitting at his usual table near the vending machine, tracing plays in the margins of his math notes, when someone sat across from him. It wasn't Lucas. It wasn't anyone from the old team. It was Elijah. He was the new kid, a recent transfer from Austin, quiet, always wearing a hoodie even in 90-degree weather. Rumors floated about why he moved schools, but no one ever asked him directly. He was invisible in the way Liam had learned to be. Elijah slid a Gatorade across the table. "You looked thirsty." Liam stared at it. "Why?" Elijah shrugged. "Because no one else thought you deserved to be offered anything." They didn't speak again that lunch, but Elijah came back the next day, and the day after that. By Friday, Liam found himself talking, not about basketball, not about Lucas, just small things, favorite cartoons, stupid things teachers said, the way vending machine D7 always got stuck. One evening, while waiting out a storm under the school awning, Liam turned to Elijah and said, "You ever feel like you lost a whole version of yourself and no one even noticed?" Elijah didn't answer immediately. Then he rolled up his sleeve. There was a small tattoo, a music note with a slash through it. "Used to play violin, competitions and all. Then my dad found out about me, said it was for girls. I haven't touched it since." Liam stared at him. "Do you miss it?" "Every day." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the rain. Then Elijah said, "I think I might try again, though. Maybe not for anyone else. Just for me." That night, Liam pulled out the card Coach Ramirez had given him. He hadn't touched it since that day, but now he set it on his desk and stared at it like a dare. The next morning, he emailed the coach. The gym at Northview High was nothing like his old school. The lights flickered, the bleachers creaked, but the court was the same. Same lines, same echo. Liam showed up to the tryout in a hoodie, unsure if he'd even stay. But when Coach Ramirez spotted him, he smiled like he'd expected him all along. "Court's yours," he said simply. Liam walked out, picked up the ball. His palms trembled. Then he dribbled. Just once. But it felt like music, like something inside his chest remembered how to rise. He didn't shoot, he didn't dunk, he just moved. And the gym, for the first time in weeks, didn't whisper. It watched. When the drills began, Liam played like someone who had nothing left to lose. Because he didn't. He played with quiet ferocity, with grace in the gaps and speed in the silence. Every pass was a memory. Every pivot, a protest. When it was over, Coach Ramirez walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're on the team, not because of what they said you were, but because of who you are." Liam blinked hard. "Thank you." Coach nodded. "Don't thank me yet. You've still got something to prove." "To who?" "To yourself." As Liam walked off the court, he glanced at the bleachers. Elijah was there, leaning against the railing, arms crossed, smiling wide. For the first time in weeks, Liam smiled back. He wasn't back to who he used to be. He was becoming who he'd never dared to be. The first game in Liam's new uniform didn't feel real until the buzzer rang. He stood just off the sideline, tugging nervously at the maroon jersey with the word Northview stitched across the chest. It wasn't home. Not yet. But it also wasn't where he had been left behind. Coach Ramirez had kept his promise. No questions about where Liam came from. No whispers about why he'd switched schools mid-season. Just drills. Just basketball. Just the rhythm of a game that made Liam feel whole again. But that night wasn't just any game. It was a scrimmage against his old team. The minute the schedule had been posted, Liam felt his throat tighten. The school's name printed in bold black letters. The familiar court, the same bleachers, the banners he used to stare at during timeouts, all waiting for him again. But this time, he wouldn't walk through those doors as one of them. He'd be the kid they erased. He didn't tell Elijah at first. But the day before the game, while they were walking back from the music building, he finally admitted it. "They're still my team on paper," Liam said quietly, "but not in the way that matters." Elijah gave a knowing nod, then show them why they lost more than just a player. The gym was packed, not because it was a big rivalry, but because people had heard. Stories had leaked about why Liam had left, about how Lucas had warned Coach Jackson, about the silence that followed. Most came for the drama, some came to see a fall, few came expecting a fight. Liam laced up his sneakers slowly in the locker room. Coach Ramirez stood beside him, patting his shoulder. "You ready?" "I think so." "You don't have to prove anything," Coach said. "But if you want to show them, make sure you do it your way." Liam nodded, gripping the ball tight as they walked toward the tunnel. Then he saw him, Lucas, wearing the same green and white jersey as always, laughing with teammates, smiling like nothing had changed, like he hadn't cost his brother everything. Their eyes met for a brief second. Lucas gave the faintest nod, not of apology but of recognition, as if to say, "I know you're here," and nothing more. Warm-ups began. Liam stretched, trying to ignore the murmurs from the crowd. Whispers about who he was, why he left, who he loved. But when the ball hit his hands and the whistle blew, those voices faded. The game started fast. Aggressive. Northview was the underdog, but they played with precision. Liam moved like a shadow slipping through gaps, cutting, passing, shooting with the kind of instinct that only comes from playing through pain. Each basket was a memory rewritten. Each rebound, a boundary broken. In the second quarter, Liam drove to the hoop and scored through contact. The whistle didn't come, but the crowd did. A roar of surprise, maybe awe. On his way back down court, he glanced at the home bench. Coach Jackson didn't flinch. Lucas didn't move. Halftime came with Northview down by 6. In the locker room, Coach Ramirez kept it simple. You've got the heart. Now find your voice. The third quarter opened with fire. Liam caught a pass from Elijah and nailed a three-pointer. The next play, he stole the ball and drove it coast to coast. He wasn't just playing to win. He was playing like every step was a reclaiming. Then came the moment no one expected. Lucas fouled out. With 2 minutes left, the crowd buzzed as he walked to the bench. He didn't speak to anyone, just sat, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the court. Northview was down by 2. Coach Ramirez called a timeout. Last play's yours, he said to Liam. He looked around at his teammates, the ones who gave him space to be real, not just useful. He nodded. When the buzzer signaled the final possession, the ball found its way to Liam like it always had in the past. But this time, the choice was his. He juked left, spun right, stepped back behind the arc, and shot. The ball arced high, the gym silent. Swish. Northview took the lead with 3.2 seconds left. Liam didn't scream. He didn't jump. He simply turned and walked down the court like he belonged. Because he did. After the final whistle, the teams lined up for the traditional handshake. Liam approached Lucas. Neither spoke. When their hands met, Lucas hesitated, then leaned in slightly. I didn't think you'd come back, he said quietly. I didn't, Liam replied. I moved forward. Lucas looked like he wanted to say something else, but Liam had already turned to join his team. The crowd clapped politely, a few cheers, some stunned silence. But none of it mattered more than the moment Coach Ramirez hugged him and said, You just played the game of your life. Outside the wearing gym, Elijah was waiting. You really did that, he grinned. I guess I did. No, Elijah said, more serious now. You didn't just win. You showed everyone who you are. That's bigger. That night, Liam slept for the first time in months without dreaming of being chased, cut, or left behind. He dreamt of a court, of light, of laughter echoing in rhythm with a heart no longer hiding. Liam didn't expect the hallway outside the gym to be so quiet. No teammates shouting, no opposing fans jeering, just the soft squeak of his sneakers on the polished floor and the echo of the final buzzer still humming in his ears. Coach Ramirez had already left to meet with the athletic director. Elijah had run ahead to grab their stuff. And Liam, he lingered. He stood before a bulletin board covered in faded team photos and yellowing newspaper clippings. There was last year's roster, with his name still listed in green. He stared at the photo Lucas in the middle, beaming. Liam, slightly off-center, half smiling. He stepped back, pulled his phone from his pocket, and snapped a photo of the board. Not to remember, to move on. That weekend, the school newspaper released their post-game interview. A student journalist had pulled Liam aside and asked, point blank, why he transferred. He hadn't hesitated. I didn't leave because I wasn't good enough. I left because someone decided who I was made them uncomfortable. The article quoted him verbatim, and the quote caught fire. By Monday morning, it was trending locally on social media, captioned over a still of Liam making the game-winning shot. The post read, "Let them see who you are. Play anyway." Within a week, the school board had issued a statement promising to review their athletic inclusion policies. Coach Jackson was under evaluation, and Liam was asked to join a student-led diversity panel to speak about identity and team culture. But the most unexpected response came in the form of a DM from Lucas, just 5 words. I didn't mean to break you. Liam stared at the message for a long time before replying, You didn't. You only showed me who I was playing for. He didn't send it to be cruel. He sent it to be clear. Not long after, a freshman approached Liam in the hallway. He was nervous, clutching a sketch pad to his chest. I just wanted to say, thank you, the kid whispered. You said it out loud, so I don't feel like I have to keep hiding anymore. That night, Liam opened his old locker. Taped to the inside was the letter he'd never sent to Coach Jackson, crumpled but still legible. He read it one last time, then folded it, placed it into his backpack, and walked out. Later that spring, the school held a student assembly. Liam was invited to speak. He walked up to the mic in front of hundreds of students, many of whom still remembered the rumors, the game, the quote that wouldn't die. I didn't come here to win anything, but he said. I came here to tell the truth. He paused, Not just about who I am, but about what it costs to be silent. My own brother saw my truth and chose to weaponize it. That hurt, but it also taught me something. The person who betrays you might share your face, but the people who stand beside you when it's hard, those are the ones worth standing with. There was no standing ovation, just quiet, and then clapping, slow, honest, steady. Liam smiled, for the first time, not because someone let him speak, but because no one could take his voice away anymore. Have you ever had to reclaim your voice from someone who tried to silence it? Tell us your story in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heart Stories. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear.